Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for the first episode of Season 2 of A Studio of One's Own. This series of dialogues is proudly presented by DEC and seeks to connect audiences to photographic practices from across the region. Season 2 of A Studio of One's Own spans 8 episodes, with new episodes airing live on a fortnightly basis. Joining us tonight is Thai photo artist Manit Sriwanichpoom. Manit is perhaps one of Southeast Asia's most well-known photographers and is perhaps best known internationally for his iconic Pink Man series, his high-gloss commentary on contemporary Asian art practices. Manit has been part of numerous shows internationally, including the Venice Biennale, Foto Espana, Biennale di Sao Paulo, International Photography Biennale in Mexico, and his works are also in the collections of important institutions such as the Fukuoka Asian Art Museum, the Singapore Art Museum, and the Queensland Art Gallery. In 2002, Phaidon Press picked him as one of the world's 100 most interesting emerging photographers in their book, Blink. He also received the Higashikawa Photo Prize of the year 2007. Earlier this year, Manit published Pink Man Story, an anthology looking back and chronicling the 20-year span. Oh, can't see it. The 20-year span of his infamous Pink Man series of photographs. So joining us tonight for the inaugural episode of Season 2 is Manit. Manit, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You know, we are so happy that you can join us.
Yeah, good evening, John. Good to see you, and thank you for your invitation for the talk. I'm happy to see you guys because the lockdown that I won't be able to go anywhere, So
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, with the wonders of modern technology, we at least still can be connected and have this conversation and have all of our audiences join us here tonight. Yeah.
mm,
So perhaps, you know, I've prepared like a really long list of questions for you. And I thought we could just dive right into that with, of course, you know, the question that is on everybody's minds, you know, the series of works that you are most well known for, the Pink Man series. And so you started the Pink Man series in 1997, and it has become one of your most iconic series of works. What led you to conceptualize that series initially?
um, I think it's I I think my work normally is it just I don't have any plan. I It just came to my mind when I got something that struck me strongly. Uh, One day I went to looking for uh, a supply for my studio, and nearby my studio actually it a little bit out of the center, and I went to the newly opened shopping mall, and I found that uh, it shocked me because of when I went to that kind of like today we call the superstore or the hyper mall, something like that. So when I went there and I looked uh, for stuff, and then I saw many shopper came with the family, and they went out with the supersized trolley. For me, that's the first thing that I noticed. This is not normal. They pack everything. I mean, it is full of the stuff. They bought, and then I have question how long they're gonna finish this. And the whole family they just walk like it remind me that I watched the the film, the movie, the American movie. Oh, it's just like a deja vu or something like that. That's why when I got that picture, and then I came back to my studio, I want to work out with this because this is something. This is for me. It's like at that time I think this is insane because you know in Thai context you have a thing in Thai context. Thailand is a Buddhist country. You know, as you know, we we believe in like live in the simple life. You know, you you're not supposed to accumulate. You know,
Mm-hmm.
or have think too much. You know, in your life. You know, and this thing is totally opposite to what the Buddhist teaching. You know, so that's why I want to do something to reflect this problem. And also at that time, Thailand is booming
Yeah.
economically. It's booming. One of the they call one of the fifth tiger. You know, Thailand become a fifth tiger of Southeast
That's right.
Asia.
Yeah.
So then I think this is something that I have to work out. And
Mm.
then the pink man, as you see the sample of my work from the book, you know, you can stop at this photo. Yeah. Um, I when I try to work out how can I um, make people aware of what's happening, you know, and I think maybe because of actually we are just normal people, common people. We have
Mm-hmm.
no power, but who make us to go to shopping? Who make us to force us or push us to do that? And then I think maybe some thought behind the scene, and that's what I try to find out. You know, when you work,
Yeah.
we try to. I want to go to the to reach to the origin of the problem, and who create this kind of demand. You know,
Mm.
and that's why I came out. I mean, I came up with the maybe people in the power who
Mm.
push us to do that. You know,
Right. Right. Right.
people who, when we watch the news television, they always wearing suits, have you know
Yeah.
neckties and suits. We live in Southeast Asia. We are in a hot climate. We don't wear that. But these
Yes. Yes.
people who sit in the aircon and then they say you have to buy this, you have to buy that, you know, and they keep telling us that this is the GDP that we need this growth and then and blah blah blah, and then they somehow government give us the money and then you go out to shopping at like what we at the situation that happening now, that
Mm.
when people have no money and the government put the money in your bank account and then ask you to go out and to spend, and that
And boost the
this is something.
economy.
Yeah, this is something
Yeah.
is crazy to me. It's just like, hey, I mean this is what happening in this world today like this, you know.
Yeah.
That what we've been doing, and the government keep telling us that you have to spend money and you have to buy this, you buy that. If you don't have money, you go to the bank and then you can mortgage, you can get all, you know, you can borrow the money and then you spend, and then you don't have to worry, you know. And then one day economic crisis happened
Yeah.
in 97. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Economic crisis happened, and
Yeah.
then we broke, and suddenly we have no money, and then everybody and the whole country become fall in debt, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what happening. That's why my pink man uh, try to create a dialogue, question about this is what happening.
Yeah.
How are we gonna get out of this problem?
Yeah.
You
And
know.
so, the starting point of Pink Man was really, about this idea of, consumption, this mad consuming that is, so predominant in our daily lives today.
Mm,
Yet over the years, you have returned to Pink Man, and even in some series, just, that motive of his pink supermarket trolley alone, to offer critique on a variety of social, political issues, across an expanse of history. For instance, one that comes to my mind and a very, very strong series of images was Horror in Pink. What leads you to return to him as a symbol time and time again for these variety of issues?
Um, when I realized that actually people today, the mindset, they already conform in this kind of, that you when you look your life, your mindset, and the way of living, you already live in this kind of system, you know that you when wherever you go, you think, okay, where whatever you see, your mind say, can I have this, can I buy this, you know it means that your mentality and our mentality, that we already in this kind of uh, how you call it, capitalism. You know, we already in that kind of the capitalist mind. So it's very difficult to avoid that. So, for instance, you're talking about a horror in pink. When
Yeah.
I want to make the comment on what happening, uh, the the news photo that what I use is about the fighting for democracy.
Yeah.
And when people get democracy, they forget about who died for democracy.
Yeah.
It means that people today, they don't care what, I mean, the old generation or the senior generation who sacrificed their life to make the to build up the democracy. And
Hmm.
then what happening? You see in the picture that the student who sacrificed their life for democracy, and then the people who killed the student, they anti-democracy, and they somehow they brutalize and they kill the 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 pro-democracy student. And in Thailand, during the time when I produced this work in the year 2000, 2001,
Yeah.
people vote the far right wing politician, Samak Suntharawet, to become the Bangkok governor. And how come the far right wing who support the massacre became a governor? And Bangkok is supposed to be the, let's say, the very educated, I mean,
Yeah.
people, right? Bangkok people. But then this is my question. So it must be something wrong with the our memory and history. So
Mm.
that's why I think I want to use Pinkman, because we are today people. We we enjoy our life. I mean, we can go for shopping, and then we already forgot about who died for our democracy. That's why I want to make a comment and try to provoke.
Right. And would you say that you see that majority of these various afflictions that are faced by humanity today? Do you think to an extent they stem from this contemporary consumerist kind of culture?
Um, for me, I think when you look at people today,
Yeah.
you see, are they happy? They have more material than other people. I mean, most of them, they have more material than they used to have before, and maybe more than their own, their parent, or maybe their own, their family. I mean, let's say, so people have more material, but they're not happy. When you look, when you look at them, they're not happy.
Mhm.
I mean, you live in Singapore. I live in Bangkok. I see that people are on the sky train, or in the bus, or on the, and in the market, and when you walk, even when they go to shopping, are they happy? If they're happy, they don't need material, because they think the material can make them feel happy, and
Yeah.
then that is the way how they measure happiness with material, and that
Mm.
is why I want to question, you know, about the consumerism, whether
Mm.
it that it is what we want, and what happening. Are we
Right.
happy? The more we have, it seems the less happiness we have too.
And indeed, like it is actually still so relevant today. And in the midst of a global pandemic, when people hear of lockdowns, shutdowns, the first thing that they do is they head to the supermarket and they pile, all of that toilet rolls and all of these materials, to hoard, to protect themselves in a way to make themselves happy. They're happier if they're safer than somebody else, if they have more of something than somebody else. And so, it's Pink Man still has so much, I think, to offer to as a symbol and as a
Mm,
critique of
mm,
the contemporary times. But yet you had decided to conclude the series in 2018, I believe.
mm.
What led to that decision?
Um, I think I've been working with a man already too long, 20
Hmm.
year or 20 year. I
Yeah.
think it's like a and most of the artists, or musician, when they get the band, and then there's to certain a certain time or to certain period they want to disband. I think I want to disband with Pink Man at the moment because of I think I wanted to doing that because uh, to doing this to you hold the picture over here to doing this um, it's mean as an artist you don't want to just stuck yourself to certain thing. You want to
Mm.
move on and on. I mean, look the way how I work. I'm keep doing thing all the time. I don't repeat, myself.
Hmm.
So I'm the one who also I hate to repeat uh my word. When you speak the same story all over a word again and again, I think it's enough. I don't want to repeat that. I want to move on.
Mm.
But one I decide to end it, and then it's very funny. The idea it came up to me that to me after I decide to end it because the COVID. Then this one particular this I call the last man and the
Yeah.
end of the history. I mean,
Hmm.
uh, this series I produced in New York, and this is the year 2008, and the 2019, and 2020, you know, 2020. I saw the same, you know, picture actually in 2019 already, the late 2019 and in the March of 2020, I saw people, the people in the body bag
Hmm.
transport and on the truck to bury. And this is shocking because it's like in a war, in a world war, but this in a pandemic. And then we already reached that, catastrophe. I mean, a million of people dying every day, and every year, and this year, how many? I think over than uh, I don't, I couldn't remember the figure. It's already, move on. But
Yeah.
anyway, I wanted to say this. I, s- I, I got the picture that Pinkman gotta be in the body bag,
Hmm.
you know. But and my is a different reason because of he went to New York and he got shot because New York is so violent. In the U.S.
Right.
it's so violent because they are it's a brutal country because of you can die any minute because the gun no gun control. So you
Yeah.
walk on the
And
street.
definitely very relevant now, especially because of
And,
the Asian violence that's happening in the US.
yeah, and now it's like that. It's a story. It never go. It never. I mean, it never change. So what happening after that? Then let's move on the picture. Okay, you see that every corner that we uh, if we watch the news today with the pandemic, you will see this, you know, people in the body bag dump on the street on street corner, you know, in Sao Paulo, in Latin America, in India, you know,
Yeah.
in in many places like this, you know, and I feel quite shocking and to see this, and I don't know if we learn the lesson, and because if you really care about this issue, you know that because of the environmental issue,
Hmm.
you know what happening, that why the virus came from is about the global warming environmental issue, and somehow it's made the virus can, you know, as from animal, from, you know, a different species that, I mean, came to, I mean, come out and infect I mean human.
Yeah.
So because the human is, it never stop, you know, destroying the nature, and that is why my pink man is still, I mean, talking about the consumerism is still relevant.
Exceedingly relevant. Yeah.
Still, because I watched the BBC documentary about uh, Greta Thunberg, her traveling to camp for her campaign, and it's, I mean, this is, I can see that no one want to change, nobody want to change, and this is a pandemic in this time, people to change, but it seems nobody want to change, and then like, well, you asked it, I mean, some certain company corporate can make a lot of money, like
Yeah.
uh,
Amazon.
Amazon, right?
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous, and
Yeah.
because people, they don't want to change, they
Yeah.
just find a way, you know, find a way how to, you know, to to get their stuff. They
Yeah.
not don't want to change themselves,
Yeah.
you know, and this is the period, and this is the time that we should stop and think how we gonna live and how we gonna lead this world too.
Yeah.
And it seems none of the any country want to change.
Yeah. And so let's go to like the book. Pinkman Story. Pinkman Story was launched earlier this year. I think in April, right, at the Bangkok Arts and Cultural Center with an exhibition as well.
No,
Um,
I'm sorry that the pandemic we locked down. I mean, it crashed
yes,
my book launch.
yeah,
Uh,
it was supposed to launch
it
then this year,
launched,
earlier this year.
yeah.
And Pinkman Story really is chronicling the development of Pinkman, over that 20-year history that you have worked with this iconic figure. When did you decide to start putting together this particular publication? It is a really lengthy book. I was like so amazed when I managed to get hold of it and take a look at it.
Um, you know, if you, I mean, if you, for me, it's important because of sometimes my work is it's a performance. You know, my work is it vary uh, to to the issue and the the material and the medium
Mhm.
that I use. So it's very difficult if I don't put uh, the whole uh, the whole project together. And I think it's important that to put that in together to make people to realize, to see how, I mean, the body of work have, I mean, over 20 years, how it look like, and how I conceive, how I work, you know. I think
Yeah.
this is important for me. I mean, because of it's it's every artist's dream to have their own book, you know.
Yeah.
And the book is for me is the most important. I can have this in on the digital format. It but it's still different. The impact and the power of the book, I still believe on the paper ink, you know.
Hmm.
Mm, uh,
Yeah.
so I still that's why I want to I mean conclude that in the format of the book.
Right, right, right. And so around when did you start putting it together? It seems like it would have been a really long and
Uh, I
challenging endeavor. It's a really big book.
I spent almost 1 year because
Right, I see.
I have to scan all the negative again. Some negative already damaged. I
Hmm.
have to
Hmm.
fix this. I have to adjust it.
And
Uh,
delving like into your own archive of images
yeah,
as
I
well.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, slowly I you know I made it. I plan to publish last year, but still, I mean, it takes time. And also, uh, um, can you stop over here at the photo? Um, because I need a good writer. I'm
Yeah.
luckily that I have a good writer for me. It's important
Mm.
too. I have to thank them, like Rubin, Viola Lindsay, Christian Kojo, and Didier Mayhem, and Inke, you know.
Yeah, and definitely the writing definitely all provides amazing insights into your practice. And I was actually also really taken by your own writing, especially what you penned in the introduction. And you shared a little bit about these ideas with us earlier, and you basically sketched this parallel between the death of Pinkman and the COVID-19 death tolls, and like how you mentioned earlier, it's an exit strategy from our old way of thinking. And yet, this consumerist culture persists. On one hand, we are hearing of like, a lot of neighborhood shops and small retailers, they are struggling financially, really having a very, very difficult time during this COVID-19 pandemic. Yet on the other hand, you can have retail giants such as Amazon posting like their record highest profits of all time. So rather than an exit strategy, it seems that we have just almost concealed our consumer risk culture within the confines of your own home. What is your sentiments, towards this phenomenon that how we are still consuming, even though we have nowhere to wear our clothes to anymore, we have nobody to show off our possessions to anymore.
I I actually I think COVID-19 is for me is a blessing, you know, because if you look what happening before the COVID,
Mhm.
I mean, uh, this kind of the speed that the way we living, we using our planet Earth. I mean, all the resources. I mean, we facing our dilemma and and probably the catastrophe because of we it seems we don't have we won't find a way how to slow down, you know. And you before that, you remember that even Trump never even
Mhm.
tried to join the World Summit, try to reduce their carbon footprint, you know. And all this is mean that this is the problem.
Mhm.
And then when the pandemic happened, when we look what happening to the nature, I mean the PP Island, I mean, and now t- return the nature return, and it's the most beautiful now. And
Yeah.
in many area, in many country, because of we slow down our life. And when we slow down our life, what we should do, we should question whether what we're gonna do. We say we're gonna have a new normal. What kind
Mhm.
of new normal that we we facing?
Yeah.
New normal is not just mean that we just wearing a mask or have a social distancing, but still it have, I mean, deeper meaning if we really realize that. I mean, we we can. cut down so many things that we don't need in life, you know. And you look that if we don't realize this, we're gonna lose our opportunity.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think this pandemic is it not it seem it's not stop easily.
Yeah.
You know, if we don't find a way how to cope with it and how to live with the nature, you
Hmm.
know, harmony, not like
Yeah.
we take advantage. I mean, to the nature too much, and I don't we don't need to blame each other whether who invent the pandemic, who invent the virus, but
Yes.
this is our product anyway. It's a human product, not more or less. It's our hand.
Yeah.
So we 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 should. I think the Mother Nature teach us, you know, give us a lesson. And if we don't stop our behavior, you know, we going to, you know, we won't survive.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, um, you know, back to the book again. I think one of the things that interested me the most, and I think for anybody who would have followed Pinkman's journey over the years, would be very excited to see
Mhm.
the section that was titled
Yes. Yeah.
"Unpublished and Miscellaneous." And we're on the perfect slide here. And I was really delighted to see all of these sketches, the draft compositions, which you sketched in preparation for the photographs you were about to take. So I was very, very curious. How often do you work in this fashion? How often do you sketch these compositions before going in to take those photographs?
I my my after I think after I take my Pinkman series seriously, uh, I think the series that I start have my own sketch is the uh, shocking pink series, you
Yeah,
know, the fashion show. I
yeah,
think you can find, I mean, this the artwork at the National Gallery Singapore. Okay,
yes.
it's a light box, you know. That is I I start from that series because before that, if you notice the early series, I I just put the guy on the street and I just follow him and
Hmm.
I take picture or take a video, you know, follow him. So I have no sketch, no plan because it's everything is happening spontaneously, you know.
Yeah.
I can't plan ahead. But then when I do like a kind of a studio work, so I need to have a plan, a proper plan.
Mm.
Otherwise, because when I have sketch, I have to prepare my plot, my costume, my and also my lighting, and you know, and I have to do a little bit of research, what kind of stuff that I need and how what should I do with about the post I mean the posture, you know, of the
Yeah.
pigment. And then
Yeah.
from that series on and I keep doing my sketch, you know, before and because I have to prepare my stuff before this I prepare my setting as well, you know.
Yeah, and indeed, that contrast between the spontaneous and the very, very carefully planned. I understand that in the early part of your photography career, after you graduated from school, you worked for a period of time as a photojournalist.
Mhm.
How did that impact your approach to photography? And most of the time, when I think of photojournalism, I'm always thinking of these very, very, very spontaneous shots that are happening. So how did that really shape you in terms of your approach to taking photographs?
Um, when I graduate from my art to my art school, I mean uh, Srinakhali Biro University, I I think I have I have my question. I have my doubt to myself. I mean, it it's always like that. I should have my doubt. You know, uh, I have. I think I feel that I know nothing. So what should I do? If I know nothing, then I should find a way how to get to know the thing that I should know. I don't know much about photography. So, and I quite like the the front page of the news magazine or even on the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And my fascination is that they can use only one photograph to tell a story. Can I do that? That is my question.
Yeah.
And if how can I do that? It's mean that, and then okay, then what should I do? And then I should turn myself, to become a photojournalist. Then I can learn learning by doing. Okay, just
Mm-hmm.
jump into the water and learn swimming, and that's what I did when I was young. So I just jump into the water, and then I go to the office of the new agency. I say I want to be, want to work as photojournalist, and then okay, I just run after politician. I just run after the story, you
Yeah.
know, and slowly I learned that I running after the story. I mean, story have to happen, you
Yeah.
know. Story happen, then I'm gonna be there and I take picture,
Mm-hmm.
and then and that's what I learned. And how can I can get the best angle to condense, you know, to condense and make all the story to I mean to tell story to the or reader, you know,
Yeah.
and that
Manifest the stories. Yeah.
yeah, mm,
Yeah.
that
So
one.
yeah, and actually beyond your photography practice itself, you are also a curator of photography, and I would dare to say a historian of photography as well. And I was delighted to have visited Masters of Photography, the exhibition you curated when it was presented at NUS Museum back in 2018. And I think we also met there. And what has actually stayed with me until now is what you wrote in the introduction to that exhibition when you spoke of the criteria that you use in determining the selection of the Thai masters, and what were the characteristics of a Thai master, and you had written a sufficient body of work, the use of medium in self-expression, anthropological and sociological significance, outstanding content and perspective, camera angles, photography techniques, and the final line, which stood out to me the most, which was the courageousness of creativity in the social context of their lifetime. So this final line, speaking of courage, really stood out to me. It's something that's so important and critical now, in this day and age, and in of course in our global social political landscape, which is very much ruled by fear. And I think you would agree with this stance too. In the opening of in the introduction of Pink Man's story, you also give your own disposition of the deposition of the Trump administration and of Brexit. I cannot imagine it ever being easy to highlight matters of great trauma. Like, for instance, Horror in Pink. That was definitely a, a huge moment of trauma for many, many, many Thai people. So, in that regard, in that respect, what do you think are some of those greatest challenges and obstacles that you have faced, right, in order to bring the reality of these inconvenient truths to your audiences?
um I think the most important thing first that I always ask myself whether if I want to do something in the benefits of the public, if it's a good thing and the must to do, and I can't avoid to do that, I have to do.
Mhm.
Okay, this is uh, the question that I have to ask myself whether this is there is a story, there's a question that I want to push on to the public to, and then if it's if I can't avoid this, I have to do it. You know,
Mhm.
if I avoid this, it means that it's a chicken out. I don't want to face the you know I don't want to deal with that kind of let's say fear. You know,
Mhm.
dealing talking about the fear. You know, you notice when I mean the worker, I mean the construction worker. You know, when you see them on the let's say on the floor 40, and they hang out there. I mean, how could this guy can hang out there without fear? I know that if you imagine the day one when they first work in this job, the day one they start from the basement, and then slowly they can go up in the
Mhm.
high I mean level, and that means if you courage is also the same thing. You have to slowly to uh, build up or experience or accumulate, your courage. You slowly that you topple, one slowly, from
Mhm.
the minor, okay, the fear, okay, this, yeah, you fight it, and then you slowly you win, and then you can go that, you know, go that high. So it means that if we never practice, if we never start to do that, and we never overcome the fear.
Yeah.
So um, all government, every government want to rule they people with fear. I mean,
Yeah.
including my country, my
Yeah.
government also. You know, they rule us with fear. They don't want us to question them. They don't want us to criticize them. They threaten us that they're gonna sue us or they're gonna put us in jail. They're gonna charge us with so on and so on. You know, and that is why if you with you need to gain your your courage. You need to gain
Mhm.
that. You
Yeah.
know, and this
Yeah.
is the most important when you, especially in art, in you work in the art field, that you have you you have to do that. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you won't be able to stand out, or you push the border. You know, you have to push the borderline further and further. You can't just stay inside the safe zone. No, no,
Mhm.
no safe zone for artists. you
Indeed.
have you
Indeed.
have
Very, very
to.
little safe zones
Yeah.
at all. And in fact, I think we're going to jump into some question and answer from our audiences. But right before we do that, yes, I would like to invite all of our audiences who are tuning in tonight, to post any questions you have in the chat box, and we can get Manit to answer some of those questions. But right before we delve into that, I want to talk a little bit more about the safe zone. So one final question from me, um, and this is like I had read, that very early on during your one of your photojournalistic assignments early in your career, you actually had a near-death encounter with the Khmer Rouge. So that is definitely way out of the safe zone, definitely way out of any safe zone that I myself have been in. Could you share a little bit about that particular experience?
uh, you can you the slide can go on to see my work in as a photojournalist. Um, you see this is a Salmon, the General Salmon in
Mhm.
Burma. Anyway, in during 1989, I work as a photojournalist and cover um, Thai and Cambodian border and Thai and Burmese border, especially at the Thai and Cambodian border. I I have to cover a story where the Khmer Rouge camp in the Thai border. But when I go there, slide go on, and I will show you that um, this is a Khmer Rouge that I got a picture. Um, can go on, and this is all of my during my photojournalist work. Move on to next photo. Okay, this is the during the Cambodian conflict. Go on, and I want to show you. Okay, stop this one. You will see this boy. Okay, this is a different camp, and in the border you're gonna see the refugee camp, and this is all the children from the free Khmer. This is different, but on the same time, in another corner, uh, they have Khmer root, the red Khmer, uh, have under the camp, and also they have children like this. They jump, they swimming in the pool. And when I saw the children play, I thought, okay, it's a children. I just walk in, and I know it's a Khmer children,
Mhm.
and I walk in, and suddenly the children jump up to me and say, and when they look at me, and then the eldest boy came to me and arrest me, and he showed with a grenade, one grenade in his hand.
Oh my goodness.
I say, and I got shocked because I say, I stopped him. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on. I say, hold on, hold on. No, 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 don't do that. No. And he showed me again right in his hand, and he pulled my hand, and he took me across the hill, a small hill. And when I'm on the top of the hill, it's like a dolly. If you look at the movie, and when you slowly, you know, the camera go up, and then you see the camp or the Khmer road uh, that where I didn't see before. And then
Mm.
it's because of the build up, a kind of hill, and they cover this. And what happened? And then they took me to see the commander, and they say, "My God, what can I do?" Because and everyone run to me. It's like in the movie. They run to me. They want to beat me, and then want to drag me. And they say, I speak Thai. I say, "Stop, stop." And luckily, I saw ice cream vendor. You know, and I know that he a Thai. I say,
Yeah.
"Hey, brother, told him don't attack me. I mean, let me. I want to show my Thai ID." And
Yeah.
then when I show my Thai ID, the commander say, "How much I buy? How much I buy?" I say, I
Oh,
say, "I'm Thai. I'm Thai." No, they don't believe because my face it look like Vietnamese. They say I'm look like Vietnamese. I'm a Yuan. They call Yuan. I'm a
I
Vietnamese.
see. I
They
see.
accuse me, and then luckily that the ice cream vendor saved my life. And then the Thai task force took me out, and he said that they can kill me because they allow to kill me if they suspect, if they suspicious that I'm the spy or something.
Right. Right.
And I got uh, I got shocked, and then I realized that I can die any minute, and
Indeed. Indeed.
this is not the war. This is not my war. This is not my war. I want to die for my own war, so I
Yes.
have to find my own war.
Yeah.
So and then when I came back to the office, I quit. I say I don't want to die for the other people war. I want to die for my own war.
And I think that a life-changing experience like that definitely is going to embolden anybody. And with that, I think we're going to jump into a question that we have which came in from one of our audiences. Quite a interesting, quite a good question actually, and something that we had not touched on. I'm guessing some people might be experiencing a bit of a dissonance because they are so used to seeing the pink man, and might be surprised that Manit looks nothing like the pink man at all. So one of our audience members asked, "Who is the pink man?"
Yeah.
So Manit, can you share a little about who the pink man is?
Uh, I'm really lucky that Sompong Chawi is my friend because I know him since I was in the university. Um, he a poet and he also performance artist. When I saw his performance, and I amazed. I like the way he moved the body, the way he, you know, he uh, he speak and the way the sound he makes, and and I noticed that Sompong he he full of himself, full of angry. He he angry man, okay, angry young man at that time, okay, and I realized that my pink man should be someone who not enjoy life, who not happy. He like a
Mm-hmm.
time bomb when he walk. When he walk and you can feel his aura that he he not happy, and he can burst any minute. He can bombard anyone. He just like it's a kind of like he stab himself with yeah yeah the mind. All his put a bomb. You know That's what I like about him, and luckily that he enjoyed to perform for me, and I try to replace him, during the time that, sometimes he say, oh, I'm enough, I want to, he want to stop, and I say, okay, I will try to cast somebody else. But it never succeeds.
Yeah. He has
And
become iconic.
yeah.
Yeah. So another question from our audience member, um, pertaining to the publication of Pigment Story, actually. In the process of gathering, all of those works from the past, scanning the negative, the sketches in preparation for the publication, did you come across any surprising revelations when you look back at this 20 years of creating?
um I yeah, I got that. I realized that I s- I have question. My God, if I want to do Pigman again at this time, I won't be able to do it, because you need strength also.
Hmm.
Because when you're getting, I mean, I had to admit that I am getting older because of, I'm slower. You know, I'm not fast that as I used to be. You know, so at that time when I work, I can work the whole day. You know, I can stay like 10 hour, 12 hour, non-stop. I can work, but not anymore for me. I mean, I work 3 hour now. I already exhausted. Impossible. And I realize that it's working, especially with outdoor. You need the strength, and you have to be alert. You know. Mm. So that, that I'm lucky that I done it and when I young.
Right. And very fortunate, I think, for all of us as well, and all of the fans around the world of your particular series. And I think with that, that was the final question from our audiences. And with that, we're going to conclude tonight's episode of A Studio of One's Own. So, Manit, I want to thank you very, very, very much for coming onto the show to speak with us, to speak to all of us here tonight and sharing your story and the stories of Pink Man. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you for listening,
Thank you so much, Manit. And to
watching.
all of our audiences who are watching this from home or from wherever else you are, thank you for joining us for tonight's episode of A Studios of One's Own. At the end of the episode, we would sincerely appreciate any feedback which you might have, which you can leave for us by scanning the QR code on the closing screen. And at the same time, while you're at it, if you enjoyed today's conversation, please donate to the Safe Tech campaign to allow us to have a permanent home as well as create more of this exciting content for you. Be sure to tune in to our next episode on the 1st of August, where we will speak to Cambodian photographer Lim Sok Lina, and we will catch you then. Once again, thank you so much, Manit, and thank
Yeah.
you to all of our audiences. Good night.
Good night. สวัสดีครับ
Sawadee